We are now recording. All right, so here we are at our participant portal. Now you guys know that this is the participant portal because your URL link will have participant. So this is the link that you guys will post in your county public facing websites, your partner websites, so that participants will be able to grab this URL and log in. The application is mobile friendly, so applicants can log on their tablets, smartphones, Androids, and complete the application. They don't need to download an app. It's the website, so it's just mobile friendly. We'll copy and paste the browser and log in. This is the image that they'll see when applicants come to the portal with your banner. And in the future, we can always change the names. But applicants will have to register. For their first time, they'll come in, click on register, and they'll type in their email address, first and last name, and then a password. The password must be 12 characters, must contain a capital letter, lowercase letter, number, and a symbol. And then once they click continue, they'll receive a confirmation email to their email address that is listed above. Also, a thing to note is when applicants are logging in, if they have another language that they want to select from, they can change their language, and the online application will change to that language of their choice. Anytime, we have up about 99 languages to choose from in case you guys need languages that need to be changed. Once that user receives that confirmation email, they'll click that link in their email, and then they'll be able to sign in. Upon signing in, for just that first time user, it will ask for a security code that'll come back to their email. They can copy and paste that security code in, and then they'll be able to log in. But after that first time, they'll never have to use that security code again. So let's sign in and see what it looks like to be a participant. And once again, a participant will be a tenant or a landlord that has to complete an application. Now, when you log in, that tenant will see their name, letting them know that they're logged in. And then they'll see a message here, just letting them know if they need assistance. So once they get in, if they're confused about the program policies, if they call anybody or email, here is Kelly's email. If in the future we want to have, right here, if we want to have the partners' email addresses listed, we can, add as many email addresses or phone numbers that's needed. But as you see here, this is just a couple of applications that I'm linked to that I have worked on. So for continuing users that are logging back in, they'll be able to just work on their application that they already started. But for brand new, but if they didn't have an application, this won't be here. For brand new applicants, they will see the bottom screen where it says start a new application, and they'll be pointed to complete either their tenant application or their landlord application. I'll begin with that landlord application. The tenant will be prompted to type in their last name and first name. I'm just going to put training test in here, and we will start an application. Upon logging in, the applicant will see their tenant rental assistance application, and they'll see their case ID. So in case you guys are receiving calls, emails or any help desk items, you're going to always want to ask that tenant, what's their case ID? The case ID allows you to search in your admin portals for that application quicker and directly to that client's name in case there's duplicate names. Right here, you see the application. Just another message letting them know that they can contact someone if they need any assistance. And here's the phone number as well. Couple other things here is if an applicant wants to print the application, if they're logged in and they want to see it via paper, they can click on the print icon and download that application. If you guys are, accepting paper application, this is the way that an applicant can log on, and you don't have to email it to them. They can log on and they can download that printed application by paper. They can also print the application after they complete all the steps. They can print it, so they have the completed version by paper once they completed it. Another option to this left is the View Users tab. If an applicant clicks on that View Users tab, in case they need any assistance. They'll see right here, this is my email address because I just registered the application. But in case they, want to link you guys to the case for help, to complete their case, or if they have a health aid somewhere, or maybe they have a kid away at college that, they want, to log in to uploads to help them upload things, they can link other family members or other people to assist them with the application right in the View Users tab. They'll just click that tab and they'll click Add a User. They'll type in that person's email address. When they type in that person's email address, they'll receive an automated neighborly message. It'll simply just say, you have been invited to complete this application, and they're now linked to this case. So when that next person logs in, they'll see that they continue and they're linked to this case 324. But let's jump into the application. The applicant can click on the program overview just to see the directions of the applications and their responsibilities. As they go through the directions, they can see the AMIs that they have to qualify for, but this is simply just a direction so the applicant knows what they have to do and what their landlord will need to complete this application. An applicant will have to click complete and continue. For every step that they click complete and continue, they will receive a green check mark. The green check mark means that step is completed. If they click save, it just allows them to go to the next step, but it does not complete that step. So every step has to have a green check mark. Here on step 8 is the eligibility page. So the eligibility page is really important. I see right here, I'll update this to say Monterey, United Way. But on the eligibility page, we see the application, and this is the page that the applicant will be able to let you guys know if they're eligible or not. Neighborly, we do not stop applicants from continuing if they are ineligible. So if an applicant came in here and said, no, they make more than the 80% area income, they're not delinquent on any rent or utilities, they don't live in Monterey County. So if they typically said no for all of these, they would be ineligible. Neighborly, we just have a message here letting them know that if you answer no to any of these questions, you may not be eligible, but it's the applicant can continue at their own risk. And it's also you guys' responsibility to always, come in and review step A to make sure that these applicants are eligible. So let's say I come in here and say yes. Also, now here's step B. This is where the primary applicant, that leaseholder, will complete their information. This step is just mainly just for that one head of the household, just so they can put in their name, address, and a couple of questions down below. Telephone number and their email so you guys can contact them. Question B9 is a waitlist preference question. Is any household member currently receiving unemployment compensation? This question will be linked to your waitlist. So in case you guys need to review questions, review applications with the highest need, this person will get 5 points, and they can be reviewed higher or earlier in the application based on their desired need for assistance. Co-applicant, they don't have to add a co-applicant. I'll just complete and continue. Household members. This is where the applicant will list all of the household members in the house, including that primary applicant, that lease holder. This is where the step C is important because this is how the income calculations gets linked. So if they add 4 people, the AMI will calculate based on the 4 people here. So everybody should be added here, not just the other additional members, all the household members. So you will click add a new household member, and I'll type my name over again. And also, as you see, I'll be adding my birth date. The social is here. An applicant can, if they're in a public place like a library, they can click hide social so anybody passing by does not see it. Then an applicant will also have to click here if they're not employed. Down here, if they were employed, they can click here to add that employee's address. This is not where they'll add the income information. The income is just simply the name of the employer. But I will remove my employer. And also here where I can add my demographics. So I'll say this is myself. They have the option to refuse to answer, put my race, and then my gender. And then if I have another household member, I can add that person below. Let's say I have a child. To complete that like so. And now we'll jump into our household income verification. I'm just noticing that I'll reorder these steps. So say A, B, C, D, but the household income verification step will be probably the most important step in the application. This is where that household member will list their annual income. The applicant will be able to choose from 3 options. The 3 options are explained through here. They can do their taxes, a federally funded assistance program, or from what Neighborly has seen, option 3 is what most applicants complete. They can enter their current income and submit their documentation. These 3 options correspond with the options below here. I will certify my household annual income by my 2020 tax return. They can come in and just say, hey, they had their $40,000 of their adjusted gross income on their taxes, and then upload their taxes here. If there's multiple household members with tax returns, they can combine the income and just upload 2 tax returns. So the upload file will be able to upload as many documents as an applicant needs. It can take pictures if somebody wants to take a picture with their phone. It can be linked to their camera roll where they can just upload a previous picture. So it's fully compatible with the smartphone. But as you see, the applicant can add that and continue moving forward. Same thing with the federally funded assistance program. They can type that in and say how much they make. Or the standard option is, I will certify my annual household income by documenting my household members' incomes. When an applicant clicks the 3rd option, all the household members that they add will pop up, and they can begin to add income separately by each household member. Looks like got a couple of questions. Let me check these.
I answered one of them.
Oh, okay.
The other one I can also answer.
Okay.
Good question, Gabby. We are going to not be still accepting 2020 tax returns pretty soon, so we'll make a change to the software for 2021 tax returns. But thank you for that question.
Yep. And are all these fields required? So they have to answer the questions, but they do not have to upload the documentation. So the requirement to upload documents is not currently on, and we can always change that in the future. But right now, they can just type in their income and move forward. So right here, the applicant will have to say what their income source is. Let's say they have unemployment. They can type in, their annual income like so, and the income will tally up below, giving them a total amount. If the household member had an additional source of income, they can add it like so. Let's say they had child support, they had $3,000 for the year. The system will calculate the total like so. If applicants don't know their annual income, because remember, they have to do their annual, we have a calculation tool here, which if they're working, they may want to use the partial year or hourly rate. But for fixed income sources, unemployment, Social Security, they can use the monthly rate. So let's say somebody has, $2,000 a month in unemployment, they can type that in and click calculate. And then the annual income will populate here, and they just have to click use this value, and it'll populate on the line below. So just a tool for applicants to be able to use. Yep. Can we move the certify my annual household income source up top? Yep, we can reshuffle these. That's no problem. And then we can reshuffle these. So just, as long as that's, agreed, we can definitely shuffle them. But that is how you add your annual income. Now they'll just complete and continue. And as you see, the applicant is getting a green check mark for all the steps that were completed. Here on step F is our COVID-19 impact page. So all applicants should have a direct link to what they're requesting based on their COVID-19 impact. So the applicant will come into this page and say yes or no, whether they lost income due to COVID. So I'll say yes. So the applicant has to answer question F1, and they have to leave a description. They have to leave a description, but here are their options. And this is good for reporting purposes. An applicant can have multiple reasons. So you guys can, in reporting, when you guys are running reports, you guys can filter for everybody that answered checkboxes for all of these associated items. Applicant will complete and continue and move to the next step. Here is step G, the assistance request step. This is where the applicant will finally be able to ask for how much they need. Are you requesting rent assistance? An applicant can say no because maybe they don't need rent and they just need utilities or, internet or trash. But if they say yes, all the appropriate rent questions will populate. Has your household received an eviction notice? If they say yes for eviction notice, they'll receive they can receive 5 points that'll go towards their waitlist preference points, just to move them up higher on the list so you guys can review their application sooner. They can upload their eviction notice, but it's not required. They have to answer these appropriate questions. What is your current rent? Let's say it's $1,200. And then they can request by month how much assistance they need. So let's say they scroll down to December last month, they need $1,200. They'll type that in like so. And now over here, this is how you guys will be able to know who their landlord is. Let's say their landlord is Green Apartments. Applicants should type in that landlord's phone number information. It just makes it easier for you guys in case you guys have to call them or send them an email to invite them to the application. You guys have that information. All this information is just used just to assist you guys with being able to invite the landlord to complete an application. Applicant can come into the utility assistance step and request water, gas, or electric service. So let's just say they need water, but they don't need gas or electric. The utility companies in your area will populate. So the applicant can say they need water from the city of Gonzales. They'll type in their account number. And then they're going to say, hey, for December, I need $150. They can upload their water bill so you guys can review it. It's not required, but they can, so you guys can know how much their is past due. Similar thing goes for the additional service assistance, which is internet and waste management trash. They can say, yes, they need AT&T service, type in their account number, type in their account number, and then ask for assistance for December as well. They can upload their statement here. And let's just say no for waste management. It's kind of repetitive, same thing. The applicants can choose whether they need assistance for whatever category they need it for. Important step is prior assistance received. This is where applicants will let you guys know if they received assistance before, so you don't, you would not be paying again. Applicants most likely will say no, but if an applicant says yes, you guys should be reviewing it to make sure that they're listing that how much they received and from where. Because if an applicant is saying they need assistance for December, and you guys and they already received assistance for December, you may not want to pay that full amount, or you may not want to pay any amount. So this is the page where applicant will be listing their assistance. Which agency have you worked with on the prior assistance? You'll see all your services that will pop up. And do you consent to receive referral notices? So if they say yes, they just get a notification letting them know of their network. But applicant does not have to complete that step. Last couple steps are, this is where the applicant and you guys, obviously when you guys are assisting, will be able to upload their important documentation, their IDs, rental agreement, and any recent rent statement. It's not required, but applicants will simply just click upload and upload a document. And once again, they can upload multiple documents. The system will be able to take any type of document that they want to upload, whether it's JPEG, any other picture source document, PDF, Word. And once again, the application is mobile friendly, so they can use their tablets or smartphone. At this point, an applicant, because they have not submit the application, applicants can go back to any step. You see, I went back to step B, and now, as of right now, I can't change it right now. I will have to reopen it. So an applicant can reopen any step, meaning they can, edit documentations or anything. If they want to reopen or change any step, they'll just click reopen, and they can edit whatever they want to change, and they'll just complete and continue. So at this point, they can change any step in the application because they have not submitted it. Once they submit this application, they no longer have access to edit anything. It'll be once they submit the application, it'll be up for your team to review it. And if you guys want them to change anything, you guys have to allow them access by you guys reopening it. Looks like I have a couple questions. Kelly was answering a few. Will the system prevent a payment to the same household for the same address? When you guys do the payment, we'll go through that and you guys can see that. You guys link the landlord and who you guys are paying to, so you guys will know what the payment will be going to.
Yeah, we can't migrate documents from the SRN. So if somebody applied via SRN, uploaded documents to SRN, and you do not have them as agency, you do have to find those documents on SRN.
Yep. All right. So in the submit step, the applicant's final responsibility is just to check off, making sure they agree to the rules and requirements of the program. They'll mark all the attestations. They'll click here to electronically sign. They will see their signature and the date. So you guys will always know the date that they signed it. And at this point, the applicant has to click complete and submit. Now the application is locked. The tenant cannot change anything. They will receive an automated email with this message here. Thank you for submitting your application. They can always log back in, and they'll be able to check on their account to see the status of it. But if they have any questions, they can contact these numbers. So this is the automatic message that they know, letting them know it's submitted. Now that is the participant portal. I will begin showing on your admin and your reviewer responsibilities. So here, let me just go through. I know Kelly was answering some questions. Another similar question: will the system prevent a payment to the same household for the same service? In the system, you guys have flags, and once we go through the ERAP approval, we'll see that and we can kind of discuss more. But I like to, when we go through the ERAP approval, you guys will be able to see how that works. Now we're on the admin portal. I saw a lot of users have logged in and created some test cases and played with the system. But just want to show you guys how you guys will log in. all of your email addresses have been registered. So if there's any new staff that get hired, any, from today forward, it has to be emailed to me and we'll get them added. You have to be pre-registered to be able to log into the admin portal. Unlike tenants, applicants, landlords, and tenants can just simply get the URL link and log into the participant portal, but admins will have to be pre-registered. So you guys will obviously register your email, create your password, click continue, get your confirmation email, and sign in. You guys have, just as the tenants, both tenants and you guys have the help icon, where they'll be able to send out a message to our help desk. Our hours of support are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are located in Atlanta. So just be cognizant of that we close at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in case applicants or you guys have any issues with confirmation email, password resets. So if tenants are calling you stating, hey, I forgot my password, tenants can always click forgot your password and do it. But you guys don't really should not be spending time on technical things of tenants getting into the portal. If a lot of them are having issues, just have them submit a support desk ticket, and our support team generally will be responding within the hour to reset their passwords or resend a confirmation email. Most of the issues will be just user error, but there is help links for tenants having access issues. Let's sign in and we'll discuss what you guys will see on your portal. So this is what the dashboard looks like on the admin portal. When you guys log in, you guys see obviously your name, and the first thing you guys really will see is the tenant and that landlord application. You guys have the ability to toggle back and forth between that tenant and landlord application. So the applications are not combined. You just have to toggle your screen. Right here, you'll see all of our cases. Previously, we started the implementation in 2021, but right now, you'll just see 2022 cases going forward until the new year. We'll update it to 2023. So you don't have to worry about this column. But just going through the dashboard, if you are a supervisor or program manager, you guys will have approval access to be able to approve the budgets that your reviewers, your staff send to you. So if you don't have this access currently, right now, you're just a reviewer and it will say my recent cases. On my recent cases, it'll show you the available recent cases that were in any status, whether they're in application in progress, submitted. So you'll see all the available cases that are in current status. To your left, here are all the case status, application in progress, submitted, all the case status that the application can land in. Within each status, you guys can click on it and see all the available cases that are there. When you guys when everything's live, I'll go in and delete all the test applications. So you guys definitely continue testing out applications just to familiarize yourself with it, and I'll delete them. But when the application is truly live, applications in progress will not be the applications that you guys will be reviewing because they're in progress, meaning the tenant has not submitted them. You guys will be strictly reviewing applications submitted. Up top here, we'll go through this menu over here. Up top here is to create a new case. So for the next couple of days, as you guys are testing out and gaining familiarity, if you guys want to create a test application, you'll click on create a new case. And don't worry about import implementation guide. You guys will not need access to that. You guys won't have that. So you guys can create a test case on your tenant or your landlord application by just coming in and typing your name. You guys can click create and you'll create a new test case. So this is your view of what it looks like to review an application. You just create a new one. So you'll be able to create a new one like this and go through the application and test it out. Let's just go back to the dashboard. Also, here's the search icon. The search icon before, like I mentioned, as tenants call in or as you are assisting a tenant, the easiest way to get to their application is by typing in their case ID. You can type it in like so. And that case ID will come up. So for example, that ID comes up just like so. If you guys just search by a tenant's name, let's say test, you guys are going to bring up duplicate applications. So here we go. This is what it looks like when you guys search by a similar name. So I just put test. So just always, when a tenant calls in, ask them, what's your case ID? Because it just simplifies it and takes you directly to the case. If you pull up the similar name, you'll pull up all search items similar to that. The next icon is the user's options and settings. If you click on that, you'll see your name here. Not all of these things really apply for you guys to use. The main things are the participant portal. This is how you'll be able to navigate back and forth from the participant portal if needed, and your admin portal. And then right here is my profile. My profile is the other option that you guys may change if you request. In my profile, you guys can add a title to your name. If you guys wanted to put your position, you guys could. Your preferred language. If you change the language, the system, the screen, your software will update and reflect that language. And then you guys can add some kind of background contrast if you would like, just to see the change in the background. Also to the left, you guys can update your password if you want to change your password here as well. But within the profile icon, you guys just have participant portal and my profile. In the user guide, this is really important because this has some training features for you guys to refer back in case you guys need any assistance, and just small videos so you guys can see some additional trainings and understand how to use the software more in depth. The main things that you guys would use for ERAP, emergency reset, is obviously the ERAP portal. The ERAP, if you click on 6 guides, you'll see functions that will be useful for you guys. Custom report is your payment report. We'll discuss that. The waitlist, we'll discuss that. Email generation, ERAP approval, AFR generation. So all of these features are features that are applicable to you. We'll go through them and go through them, but there's about a minute video each just for refreshers, so for you guys' knowledge you guys can have. Budget and draws is important. You guys have the ability to review those. We'll go through those. Funding and reports. Pretty much anything from funding going down is applicable. The first 3 may not be applicable for you guys. But definitely you guys can use that as a resource. In the user guide, we have release notes. So as you guys continue to see and using our Neighborly software, we have updates where we have new deployment releases, new feature releases, and bug fixes. Just kind of like your software on your phones. You guys, obviously you don't have to download it, but the system will automatically update overnight for new features and releases. And this is where you guys can see the release notes, just explaining any changes. So maybe Kelly has a feature request that she's asked, and maybe next month we're able to add that feature. So you'll be able to see the notes and to see any bug fixes or changes that the software has. Of course, for any drastic changes that will affect the way you guys do your service, we'll train you, but most of them are behind the scenes functions. Webinars are here just for longer, probably 45-minute videos of webinars that we've done with PAF Neighbors. These are longer, but these are some overall features that Neighborly has for other programs. But it is, you guys can see it, particularly probably Report Builder is good, but these are just training videos. Policy is just our user policy and Internet Explorer. Important note, Internet Explorer is not a preferred browser. So in case tenants are calling in saying, hey, the portal is not working, they can't see anything on their smartphone or their screen, a good question is, hey, if you're using Internet Explorer, please switch. Pretty much any other browser will work. Our preferred browsers are Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Safari, but anything else works. Just make sure they are not using Internet Explorer. So those are icons to the right. As we go forward with the training, we'll discuss these icons to the left. Not everybody will have access to these, but we'll go through them. But let's go over that case that I submitted through that participant portal. Looks like Kelly is answering the questions. I'll check back periodically and definitely I'll go through some questions. But let's go to my case. And like I mentioned before, applications submitted are what you guys will review. So I'll click on the application submitted. So I have 2 in here that I've submitted. This cherry test case is something I did earlier, but I'm going to review the application that's 12 of 12, which means it's truly complete. Let's click on that. And now I'm in the case. So when you guys come into a case, what you guys will see is the status menu. You guys know you're in the status menu, says it here, and then it's also highlighted in blue up top here. The status menu is going to give you the case name. Right here is the case name that tenant types in. So whatever the tenant types in as their name will be used for the header and also for reporting for the case name. You guys have the ability to edit it in case, tenants are typing in their names first, last, or last, first, or just typing completely wrong name. You guys can update it just to be consistent for reporting. You guys can have that access. You guys must update the statuses for applications as you're reviewing it. The system will automatically update it from application in progress to submitted when the application is complete. And as you guys are assigning cases to staff to review, it'll automatically update to application under agency review once somebody else is reviewing it. After under agency review, these all the applicable statuses have to be updated by your team. And remember, updating the status is important for reporting and also important because the tenant, the tenant will see that, and it also advises the tenant of where they are in their application. You guys can type in notes in the status detail field and always save, click update to save. You guys have the ability to delete applications. You guys definitely, obviously, it'll be up to your policy and procedures if you guys will be deleting application. We do have we are able to remove the privilege for staff that, to not have the delete function, but mainly it's probably best to just not delete applications. And if you guys come across application that should be denied, you can deny it. But mainly if you see a duplicate application, you'll want to put it in the withdrawn category. So if you see, training test case John Smith that has 7 applications, you guys can put withdrawn for a couple of them. So it's pretty much your guys' rule, but withdrawn is definitely an option for duplicate applications. Here, you'll see the program name to always make sure you're in the right program. Programs are the tenant application and then the owner application, landlord application. So you don't want to, think you're opening a tenant application, but up top it says landlord. Here's the case ID, the status. The sub-programs will be your partners. So as you guys are assigning cases to individual people, you guys have you guys are able to assign it to the particular program. So if I'm reviewing this application, I can say, this is David Cherry and I work at CCES, or I work at, United Way 201. I'll show you how to do that momentarily. And the last thing in the header is the duplicate social security number. So I always use 1111 or 123 or 567 as a social security number. So right here, you'll see a warning message letting you know that the application is linked to other applications with 1111. So this is, reviewers' chances to click on that application and be able to go into that other application to see if the duplicate social security number. As you see, I just switched to the other application. This one, I kind of did a budget. And on that social security step, I used 1111. So all the duplicate applications with the social security number, you guys will be able to toggle between and see them.
I just wanted to follow up on Dennis's question. That's kind of one of the steps to prevent duplicate applications. And once an applicant is established and assigned to an agency, it can't be picked up by another agency. So that's like one step in preventing duplicate payments. There are other steps in preventing duplicate applications that I think we'll go over later. But that's just one step to prevent an applicant from being assigned to multiple agencies or from it, which would result in multiple payments. And in each household also, like they have to add what about people without a social security number? We have other ways to prevent duplicates that I think we can talk about later.
Yep. And for people that don't have a social, they don't have to type in a social security number. I think me and Kelly probably spoke about this, and you guys can decide. But if somebody's in here, they can type in 000 just to get past the social security step, or 999. And I think I don't have this as required anyway, Kelly, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll double check. So they can leave it blank. And we can put the message direction in here. The only thing is if I put 000 or 999, everybody will just type that in, and then your duplicate social security check won't be useful if nobody's typing it in. So for your team, you guys just kind of remember as applicants, you guys are helping applicants out. 000 and 999 will get them past the social security step, and it's not required that they fill social security in. All right. So I was on the status page. So I went through the status page. Now let me go through the audit log. Right here in the audit log is really important because this is where you guys will be able to tell whenever an applicant does anything in the application. So in there, we say where all the truth lies, where an applicant can't tell you something if it's not supported here in the audit log. So I completed this app. I started this application today at 12:09. I opened it up. Well, my time 12:09, but you can see for each step I completed each step. Here's the duplicate social security. So for each step, it's going to save to the audit log, giving a trail of what happened. So if somebody typed notes, you can see it. If somebody uploaded a document, you can see it. And right here where it says filter by type, you guys have you guys are able to see all the actions that happened in it. And you guys can click off the filter to see what you wanted to see. When did they complete, step A? When did they complete step B? When was a step reopened? If you guys add notes, you guys can add notes here, and then that'll add a category. So for when you guys come in, you guys can filter for notes. So you guys will always be able to tell when something changed. It also will pick up actions that you guys do. So if you guys reopen a step and assign them something, an applicant to do something, it'll let them know. It'll have your name in the audit log as well. So the audit log is really important for reporting and for managers and staff to be able to see when a tenant or even them they complete a function. Let's go into the application and show you the linkage of what your responsibility as reviewers are. Within this application, you're obviously going to check the application to make sure that they are eligible within step B. Within step A. Make sure that applicant is eligible. And obviously, just because an applicant may say no for something does not mean they're ineligible. Maybe an applicant can't calculate their 80% and they say no, or maybe they accidentally. So definitely review this step and obviously compare it to the income step and the documentation to make your decision if somebody's ineligible or not. But a couple important things in your admin screen that's different than the tenant screen is your step E. in your income step, if you scroll down, the tenant only sees their annual income like so, but you guys are able to compare it and review it to see what AMI they fall in. So right here, this person is obviously under the 80% AMI, and the system will test it out amongst the 3 AMI categories. And also, the system will also give them waitlist preference points if they are in the lower AMI category. So if they're under 50% or 30% AMI, they'll get 10 preference points, giving them, a higher preference need on your waitlist, so that you may review the application sooner. Applicants don't get to see the screen. This is just for you guys. So also the step G, H, and I, where the tenants will be able to request their assistance amount, $1,200, the utility assistance of this applicant, are requested $150. So G, H, and I will be linked to your admin step. I'll go through all these tabs, but it'll be linked to your approval step. In your ERAP approval, this is how you guys will be reviewing and doing budget requests that your supervisor will approve. So for each assistance category that they can request, there'll be an individual category associated with it. So if you see the rent category for December 2021, I requested $1,200. So you'll be able to see that requested amount total and the number of months. So let's say I'll add in that 1,200. And now I'm going to save this approval value. So this is what you guys will be doing to be able to do a budget request. All right. And if you scroll below, we've approved that person for their $1,200 and we're giving them 1 month of assistance. And up top, you see in the case, as you guys are approving and paying out budgets, you guys see in the header what you guys are approving and how much. We can now generate the draw. And then you see one issue. We want to pay a landlord, but there's no landlord who we are paying. So that's a default by the system that sets it up so you can't pay a landlord if you don't associate that landlord and that tenant together. So a couple of things to note is in that rent assistance request step, you guys as the reviewer will see who that landlord is supposed to be, so you guys know who to contact and who to reach out to. So now it'll be your responsibility to reach out to that owner to make sure that they complete a landlord application. I recommend you seeing the name right here, just search for that application up in the top. Remember, you'll be able to search by application between that landlord and that tenant application. Obviously, I don't have a green apartments test application, but I have a landlord test application. So you can just search just like so to find that landlord. And it looks like my internet is a little slow, so just bear with me. I don't have a landlord test case, so I'll just put test. So here are some available landlord test case that, so your job is to search that landlord application for that appropriate landlord that you're looking to link. Once you find that, you'll be able to link them together. So you guys can search up top like so. But let's go back to my case and I'll show you that landlord invitation email. So I'm back on my dashboard and I want to go directly back into my case. Neighborly software website, it does not work, as a normal internet page where you can just click the back button. You guys should either be clicking on the dashboard to go back to your home menu, or your past case lands right here. You guys can just click on that case and it'll take you directly back into that case. So I see that, this green apartments isn't a landlord that has already completed an application. So you guys' responsibility will be to come to your admin tab, and you guys have a landlord invitation email. If you click on that landlord invitation email, you guys will be able to send out that landlord invite email, inviting that landlord to apply and complete an application. In your landlord invitation email, you guys see that there is a link between the step where the tenant writes in that landlord's information, that green@gmail.com, and you guys will be able to send this email out to that landlord. You must click generate the email. Generating that email links it to your Outlook. So you must have Outlook to be able to do it, or it'll simply just pops to your Outlook and you guys can send that message out inviting that landlord to apply for this tenant test case right here. It's going to say the tenant case ID, the tenant name, and that tenant's address. The landlord will then click on the URL link and complete an application. Looks like there's a couple of questions. I see Kelly is answering them. Kelly, I see that you're answering a bunch, so if you see anything that you want me to directly answer, just let me know if I need this. But I see you pretty much catching up, keeping up with them. All right. So you guys, as a reviewer, your responsibility is to send out that landlord invitation email and make sure that that landlord applies. After you send out that landlord invitation, maybe a day or two, you guys will come back in, and now you have to link the cases together. Remember to be able to complete a landlord budget, to be able to complete a budget request, you have to link that landlord to that tenant. Now, once you send out that landlord invitation, you guys will have a tab associated in your tabs right here called that landlord tab. If you click on that tab, this is how you link the cases together. Once you click that tab, you'll be able to associate a case. This associated case button is simply a search icon. It'll search the same way the search icon does up here. You can search for, your landlord application, and then you'll just link them together. Right here. So here are some landlord, and you always see the program, it's going to say landlord, so you guys know exactly who you're linking the case to. So I'm going to link it to my cherry test landlord application just by clicking this icon right here. Will the invitation function only work with Outlook, or do we have an option to copy the link? Yeah, you can just copy and paste it. So you guys are using Gmail or any other internet email provider, just copy and paste the email.
Can I ask a quick question too?
Yep.
How do we know when a landlord application comes in to link? How do we know which application to link it to?
So in the email that goes out to the owner, the case ID is there. So the owners on that owner application have to type in that case ID. So as landlords get completed, you'll see case IDs that are unique identifiers to that tenant. So,
well, actually, sorry, let me rephrase the question. That makes sense to me. But what if the landlord doesn't have the case ID when they apply and they don't know that their tenant already applied?
Yeah, so that is a situation that can happen, because once you publicize that the application is live, you're going to have landlords that just kind of apply right away, and tenants that apply right away. So I mean, there's not really much that you can do there. It's just recommended that before you invite a landlord, before you send a landlord invitation, you should search to see if that landlord is in the system, because probably by the time that you guys are reviewing an application, you guys will have a good amount of landlords that are in the system.
That makes sense.
Yep. So
we're going to be migrating a lot of landlords over too. So yeah.
Exactly. So now, for example, me as a reviewer, I'm reviewing the case. I'm not even sending a landlord invitation out first. I'm just gonna go in my search for green apartments, see, the landlords that, have those names, and see, this is the appropriate landlord to link it to. And on that landlord side, you can, both landlord and tenant have the invitation side where you can link. On the landlord side, it'll say tenant, where you can be on that side and just link the tenant. And on the tenant side, it has landlord, so you can link from both sides. But now that I'm on the landlord tab, I can see that I've linked them together. I know landlords and the tenants are linked because in the header of the case, it says landlord right here, and also it says landlord here. So you know that this application is now linked. And also gives you the availability to click on the tab here or here to go to that landlord's case. So now you don't even have to search, they're linked together where you can just go back and forth from one another.
And Dennis is asking, what about landlords with more than one tenant? They can be linked to multiple tenant files, right?
Yep.
Okay.
The ideal is that landlords will have 5, 10, 100, tenants. But for every tenant, you'll have one landlord. So the goal of Neighborly's function was that you guys will have significantly less landlords in the system with all their tenants associated with them, and obviously tenants will just have one landlord. So now I just toggle between to my landlord application, and now I have a landlord that I have associated 2 tenants with. So if I click on my tenants tab, I'll see that my tenant applications are my training test that I am currently working on showing you guys, and then an old application that I completed probably a couple weeks ago. So landlords can have 100 tenants associated here. Because also when you guys invite a landlord, as a landlord completes the application, they can add more tenants, and the system will automatically send a tenant invitation out and link those tenants with a case to it. So kind of that landlord application does the work for you guys. So you guys will have to send out landlord invitations and link landlords, but in vice versa, the landlord application as a landlord and as a tenant, it does it for them. I'll go through the landlord application more in depth, but I just kind of wanted to show you the link of that landlord and all the associated tenants. So if you guys wanted to associate another case from that landlord, you guys would just associate a case here and add another tenant if you guys needed to. Let's just go back to the dashboard. Nope, I'll click 3003, and this is my landlord case, and I'll go back to my tenant case right here, because we want to go back to show you some other of the functions on that tenant case. So I've associated my landlord. We know it's here, and we know this is my tenant application. But now I want to go back to my ERAP approval, because now I know, okay, my landlord's linked, so now I can pay that landlord. So the tenant has requested $1,200. I've approved that $1,200. Now I want to submit my budget request to my supervisor. Let me click on generate a draw. Now you guys have your funding sources, which you guys can choose from. So as a case is assigned to you, you guys can update your sub program and put your appropriate program, but you guys have to choose from what funding source you guys want to come from. So if I'm working from North County Recreation, I'll click my funding source. My landlord will pop up because it's associated like so. And the last option is to decide whether this is prospective rent or rent arrears, prospective being future rent assistance and arrears being old rent. I just want to make sure it's always on 2022. But the date, the month here will always be the next month going forward. So any rent, behind, any rent that came before February will automatically be listed as rent arrears. If you had a tenant that requested rent for future rent that's, maybe they need March and April 2022, you would leave it just like so, and the system will separate, old rent as arrears and new rent as rent prospective. It's just good for reporting and for treasury requirements to be able to do that. So we'll click create.
Also, I just want to mention which funding source that you all choose. That's going to depend on which funding source you're working with right now. You don't have to differentiate state and federal because we kind of do that on our side. But you do have to differentiate ERAP 1, ERAP 2, and many of you have already expended your ERAP 1, so you would choose ERAP 2. Those of you who don't have ERAP 2, you would choose ERAP 1, obviously, unless we end up providing you with ERAP 2 later.
Dennis has a question. What about landlords with more than one tenant applicant? Landlords can link multiple tenants. And do landlords have access to the tenant application info? No, they can't see the tenant application info. Landlords can, when they log in, they'll be able to invite their tenants and see the tenants that they're linked to. But they can only see who their tenant is, that they linked, and also they can see if you guys have approved and paid out a budget. But here, this is a submitted budget. It's going to say, okay, you're paying your landlord, cherry test, your funding source. It breaks down rent arrears. If it was rent, prospective rent going forward, it'll separate that amount as well. And then it says it's submitted. So right now, here, you can see it's not approved. And now the supervisors have the availability to approve this. We'll go in that in the second half of the call, but I just kind of wanted to focus on what the reviewer will do. The reviewer will review the case, link the landlord, send that landlord invitation out, link the landlords, and put budget requests in. And don't worry, we'll go back and do this step one by one again for reviewers, but this is what your reviewer, your task will be. Also, if you click on your other categories, you'll be able to see the other items that were requested. So here you see $150 requested was for December. I can type that in as it's approved. As you see, approved amount and requested amount. We'll save that approval value. And we'll generate the draw. I'll just continue using the same funding source. My utility vendor, it's letting us know since it's a water, gas, or electric, it's going to come up as a utility vendor, and you guys are able to select that utility that you want to pay. The tenant, I think earlier, let's say you guys want to pay Monterey 1. You guys know based on the question that the tenant selected, make sure it says 2022. And you typically can always leave this month the same because it's always going to default for the next month. And click create. And now your supervisor is able to approve a water budget and a rent budget. This reviewer job is done. And up top, you guys have a flag to be able to see, okay, you guys have given 13 approval amount of $13.50 for 1 month. The system does not, doesn't tally up utility and rent to say 2 months. So you'll definitely want to check to see the categories. I don't know if you guys are saying, if you count them as separate months, Kelly, but the approval amount will be stuck here. All right, so that is what your reviewers will do to put a case in, but let's go over some more of the features that you guys will be using and what you guys will be using to get a case assigned before we have a break. So I went through the application and went through the ERAP tab, but let's go back to the admin tab. As you guys are reviewing applications, you guys have your reviewer checklist. In your reviewer checklist, this is definitely used and necessary for reporting purposes. In the reviewer checklist, as you're reviewing, you'll be able to see, okay, does this person live in Monterey County? Do they have all their documents? Are they under the correct AMI category? I see, I got to renumber this. But you'll be able to mark this off, and these are the items that typically are needed to make sure that application should be paid. You guys can save that, and then you guys can move forward with the application. Also, within your reviewer checklist, you guys have an incomplete documentation and a denial email templates that are linked to these categories. So these three categories are for incomplete documentation and denial. If you say that, hey, this applicant should be is missing documents, or maybe they're actually denied, you guys can check these boxes, save it, and you guys have email templates that are linked to it. It just helps it be easier for you guys to send out messages with pre-filled templates that you guys can choose from. So I'm going to click on the incomplete email template right here. And the system will send out, the system will link it to our email template. So for the users that do not have Outlook, you could simply just copy and paste the message and put it in your Gmail, your email browser to send it out. Definitely you want to save it so you can save a trail so it gets tracked to the audit log. As you see, as I saved it, now this step will be saved to the audit log. But you guys will be able to update and send out incomplete emails for, if a tenant has a missing ID, if a tenant, doesn't give you their lease, or whatever document that you guys are wanting them to send, you guys can click on that reviewer checklist. This COVID impact, this will be updated, but whatever is missing, you guys have the availability to click on and it'll populate to the email template. Same for the denial email. I checked one box, one checkbox. They didn't live in the property associated with Monterey County. The extra bullets are just place fillers for the other items. But if you generate an email, it'll come up to your Outlook and you guys will be able to send that out to that tenant. If you only have one item, you guys can just delete the bullets and send that out. Always make sure you save these emails. You save the step, because this will associate with the audit log. So you guys can always, supervisor, or you guys can always report on when you guys sent the email. Once you guys generate it to Outlook, it's in Outlook, it's your response, it's in your email address. It doesn't save automatically. So you guys have to save the trail in the system. You have the approval email, which your approval email you guys can send out, but this should be sent out generally after a supervisor approves your budget request. You don't want to send out an email now for $1,350 and then your supervisor reviews your application and says that, oh, they should only be paid, $1,200. And then here is that landlord invitation email. Also, you guys have landlord outreach, just, documentation for your admin team. In case you're reaching out to the landlord and they're not responding, you guys can document your attempts and save this. If you guys are, for ERAP and ERAP 2, if you guys, have attempts to landlords 3 times, you guys can pay the tenant. So in the ERAP approval, you guys would just select on tenant. You guys want to pay the tenant, and we'll make sure that you guys have the availability to pay tenants. All right, so that is the administrative tab. So the admin tab is just strictly for you guys to use in your review of the application. With your reviewer checklist is linked to the template emails. In the sub-programs, you guys can use this. So as you guys get assigned a case, so let's say I work for an agency, I can assign what agency it's assigned to. So for in reporting and also in the header, supervisors and everybody knows what agency is working on this case. As I click that, it'll populate here. So for reporting purposes and just in the header, if anybody ends up in a case or if a supervisor is trying to approve something, they see right here the flag of this is done by, I'm not going to say the name because I don't know, but this is by this agency. So you guys are able to assign that particular program of who it is. The documents tab is important because that is the warehouse of where all your documents are associated. So whatever documents are uploaded to this case, so in the steps here, in the required document step, or any step where you can upload documents, they'll land in that step, but it'll also land in the documents tab as well. So you guys have a one central location warehouse of where all documents will be. It's mainly good for the supervisors, because when they come in to approve a budget, they don't want to have to go through the required documents page or the rent assistance page or the utility page just to open up the document and review it. So if they go to the documents tab, click on case documents, all the documents will be listed there with their kind of category. You know, if it'll say income, and so they'll be able to have them all listed in one place where they can just quickly open them up and review them. Or you guys can also download the whole case file if needed. A supervisor can do that as well, and it'll download as a folder, and you guys can open up. I think it'll download as a WinZip, and you guys can open up all the documents in one location. Not really necessary to do it unless you're trying to create additional files elsewhere of documents, but you guys can download the documents in one zip file. Skimming through. All right. That's it. Additional funding request is the ability for tenants to come in and request recertifications. I'll go over this at the end. And also, once we have follow-up meetings where we can really go into detail about additional funding requests, recertification, definitely want to focus on the main thing that's going to portal live and give you training. But I'll briefly go through this at the end. Utilities get added as you guys pay out, do an approval. It'll link your utility. Your budget tab is the warehouse for where all your ERAP approvals get stored at. Reviewers don't have to ever click on this. This is mainly just used for in case you guys have to reverse a budget, delete something, you guys can do it in the budget tab. And supervisors can also approve cases in the budget tab. I'll go through this once after break. Landlord tab we went over. This is how you associate a landlord. But let's go through tasks. So I went through the email templates of how you guys can reach out to the tenants to say they're denied or insufficient documentation or send an approval email. You guys also are able to send out tasks to tenant, which obviously you don't have email templates message. A task, you'll have to create your message, but in a task, you'll click on the task tab, click add a task. You guys are able to send them a automated kind of neighborly email directly from the case. You guys can come in and say, you know, they have an incomplete app where maybe they didn't upload something, or you want to ask them to upload something directly to the case. In the details, you can tell them, you can say it's due today, and you can assign that participant. So what you'll do is you'll see administrators. So you'll see all your team will be administrators. But if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the participant. Right now, I'm the participant, so I'm an admin. So if you scroll down, you'll see participant, and it'll be that tenant's email address. And you'll be able to click on that tenant's name. So for example, I'm just going to click on Eric's name. And Eric will get an automatic message, an automatic email that'll just say he was assigned a task, and he'll be able to click on that email, and it'll take him directly to this case to open it up and upload a document. So once Eric gets that email, he'll be able to open this up and see the message. Incomplete application. The details should be letting him know exactly what you want him to do. Eric can upload a document right here. And then as long as Eric clicks complete, I'll receive a message back letting me know that Eric completed that task, and that I can go in and double check that document. So tasks are a good way just to reach out to that client, to have them send you an attachment and get some documentation to them. If they don't click complete, you guys will not get, if they come in here, add the document and don't click complete, you guys won't get an automatic message back because they did not complete it. The good thing about tasks are If you forget, you guys can run a report for all the available tasks that you have outstanding. So it could be, you guys could weekly come to the reports tab, click on tasks, and see all the tasks that you have assigned. So right here, I'd have a list of all the tasks that I have assigned. Anything in red means it's overdue. I can simply click on that task and see, oh, Eric actually came in, he uploaded the document, he just forgot to click complete. So tasks are good because you have a way to report and see, and you guys can see tasks from anybody. So, if your supervisor, clicks on your name, they'll be able to see all the tasks that you assign, so they can, check on tasks to make sure there's certain things missing, not missing. For a new application, any agency project manager may claim it if United Way doesn't assign it. Yes. So your managers your managers are linked to kind of all of the companies, so they can see all cases. They have they're able to see all the cases. Once a case is assigned and given a sub-program, the other agencies should not have access to it. Only the people that have access to all cases. But if a case is not assigned, all project managers have the availability to see all the cases and, assign it. But next, I'll want to go through the wait list. Actually, let me go back into the case. I didn't go through the user tab. So that's assigning tasks. Now remember, you guys can assign tasks to the tenant and you guys can assign tasks to each other. So let's say, Kelly is sending something to Dennis, she doesn't want to send an email. She could send it directly in a case so that it's always associated within a case. And as a task is assigned to somebody, that person will get a reminder. So they get a reminder the day it's due and the day it's after it's overdue, letting them know that they have something to complete. Also, Eric, because he's the person that has an active task, if you're assigned a task, it'll say my active task as 1. So Eric on his screen, it'll say that for him. Lastly, within a case, this is the kind of longer way, but if you come into a case like so, daily, you guys will be coming in to see the submitted applications. Supervisors can do it one by one, or I'll go through the bulk way, but you guys will be reviewing applications submitted. A supervisor can come into a case like so, and if they want to assign a case to a person, they'll come in, click on the users tab, and add a user. You want to add a user and then put them as a reviewer. And this is how a supervisor, project manager, program manager can assign the case to their particular reviewer. All these people are the reviewers. It shouldn't be the managers in here, but you'll assign a case like so. Let's say Aaron. Once I click add, the case will populate to Aaron's name, and then the status will be application under review. So now in case the tenant, logs in, they know that the application is under review. Aaron's name is on it. So you guys can run a report for all the applications that Aaron has now when cases are assigned to people and the application is under review. When you assign a case, one by one like that, Aaron will also get an email letting him know that they are assigned this particular case. That is the one, that is the step that reviewers can go in and assign their cases. Supervisors can go do it like so. But probably depending on the amount of applications that you guys have, the best way is to go into reports and click on the wait list. In your wait list, it's going to link all your submitted applications. So it won't show you applications in progress, but just submitted, because those are the applications that you guys will be reviewing. Applications submitted. So it'll show you all your submitted applications. So supervisors are able to come in here and assign cases by specific category. You guys have the availability to see whether where I've linked the address. So maybe you guys are assigning cases your partner agencies based on, where an applicant lives. I don't know. 211 will be working on cases from Monterey, whereas another agency will be working on cases. So Kelly, if in the waitlist, if you need another distinguishing question or something that will prompt supervisors of how they'll be assigning cases, we can link that question here so they can see it and say, okay, this person's doing, this, or maybe you guys are signing by alphabet. So a supervisor can come in here, click on an application, and they will have the bulk actions, a lightning bolt availability to click on that. And this is how they'll assign a case. Change status to application under review, assign role to a reviewer, and then they'll be able to select their particular staff member of who should have that case. Once they assigned it to a person, that case will be removed because now it's updated to agency under review. So I'm just going to change the status on a couple of these just to go back and show it to you again.
Can you assign a case to more than one reviewer?
No, a case. You can assign multiple cases, but no, a case can only be assigned to one person.
Okay.
Yep. So let's go back in the wait list. I put this application back to submitted. Let me get another case that has some points. Just gonna update the status so it goes back. So this application, the training had the questions completed. So if you, for example, when you're coming in, when you want to go through the waitlist, it's kind of works as like an Excel where you can filter for particular fields. You can filter for, okay, you want to assign cases that have 20 points. You can filter that like so, and as you can see, only the 20 points will come up. So remember, we're giving points for unemployed, people that are unemployed, people that are evicted, and this applicant is getting 10 points because they're under 50% of AMI. Kelly, we can change point preference and we can add points to any question that you want, and we can link other fields, but you guys are able to rank and sort based on their point preference. They'll have 10, 5, 0 points, like so.
There's a couple questions. Is it required to make an assignment to a reviewer in order to review the application?
Nope. The waitlist is good. The important thing about the waitlist and why you would use it is if you, I mean, I don't know if you guys are, but if you guys are reviewing application for desired need, that's the most, if you guys are doing that, that's why you would want to do it. And then also an assignment base. How would your supervisors know who to assign it for? Whether it's by city, whether it's by, I can link any question to the waitlist so you guys know how to assign it. So that's the main thing of who to assign it. If not, your team can come in and see the applications and just click down here and just start assigning cases to themselves, or the supervisor can assign it, to the staff one by one. Just the waitlist gives you availability to do it by bulk and multiple.
Okay, and follow-up question: if we assign a case to a reviewer, can a non-reviewer make edits to that application?
Good question.
Or is it locked to that assigned reviewer?
So the ideal of your setup is that people in the particular company can only see those codes. So right here, once a case is assigned to that subprogram, only people from CCES can see that. But what we do is, obviously you and, program managers have access to see all programs. So supervisors can see all the cases, but staff have to have certain programs to be able to see certain programs.
Okay.
If something's not associated to a program, then everybody, can see it. But once they associate it to a program, only the people that have that program can see it.
So if I understand correctly, if Linda Sanchez from Goodwill,
Mhm.
the program manager, assigns a case to one of her staff,
Mhm.
all the Goodwill people can see that, but like someone from Central Coast Energy wouldn't be able to edit that application at that point.
Well, good question. So edit it. Admins can all edit something that if they can get into the case, unless we give them read-only access, but they won't have, but if I'm at Goodwill and someone else is at Hartwill, I won't have access to the case if I'm to even get into the case.
So the program managers can see everyone, but their staff cannot. Okay, that makes sense to me. And then the other question
want the
that,
program managers to have all access to all cases.
okay, and then another question that came up is, can the reviewer be changed throughout the process?
Yep.
So you could, one reviewer could assign it to another one of their staff members.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
So and that you guys will learn to navigate. But simply within the case, Terry can say, oh, like this is not my case. I'll just they should always delete themselves first, because if I assign it to a new reviewer, it's still going to have Terry's name up here because she's the original. I'm sorry, Terry is not, don't know Terry's gender, but if Terry, once Terry has to delete it first. Oops, I got some tasks, but they have to delete it first, and then they can simply just assign a new person. Let's see why I can't delete it. Yep. So it's simply like that. You just have to delete it to have that person's name reflected up here. If Terry was still listed as a reviewer, the system is always going to reflect Terry as a reviewer because she's the first person. Okay. And just a note, if you guys, and you guys will probably run this in the future, if you guys have tasks assigned to a person, you can't delete them. So if Terry had a task that was assigned to Terry for this case, you won't be able to delete Terry until you guys delete that task or complete that task. So you'll have a message that'll say, can't delete because Terry is associated with a task, but just giving a note. All right. So waitlist, the purpose of the wait, and then I saw Dennis says, does the points get automatically added? So yes, the point total is automatically given for when somebody answers yes to unemployed, answers yes to eviction, and automatically assigned based on their AMI.
And
so
yeah, we're gonna add a couple more criteria that I made a note of too. So
perfect.
I listed those criteria in the chat just in case people are wondering.
Okay, good. Yep, and Kelly, just and keep me abreast because we have questions. So I'm probably not keeping up with the questions as best. So if there's something, definitely shout it out to me. So that's the waitlist. So remember, waitlist is used to assign cases in bulk. And I'll just go back. In bulk, if you had multiple cases, you could just click on the bulk icon up here. You can just click on one by one for individual cases, and then you're going to click on the lightning bolt to change the status to under agency review. Click on reviewer, and then all the reviews will pop up. And also, if you're just going through the wait list and you see, you don't have to assign cases in bulk or like that. You can literally go through the wait list to see the categories. You could filter it in order of, hey, you want to filter for everybody in, Monterey. You can filter just like that. And then you can click on them individually and just go on the case individually. Assign a user just like that, one by one. And then you can put on that sub program for that particular program if you like. Okay.
There's a question. Is there like a process map for the application or for the how it kind of flows from start to finish?
Yep. So yeah, I'll send that at the end of the call, where it's pretty much gonna give you a step-by-step guide. A reviewer will come in, they can either assign the case themselves from submitted or from the wait list, and then it'll show them, review the application, send out incomplete application denial. It'll talk about the budget, and then it also goes through the disbursement process. I'll be sending that to you guys. So with that being said, about an hour and a half in, so let's take a break. When we come back, we'll go over these functions up top: EREP, utilities, funding, and reports, and then we'll go through approving these budgets, and we'll also just go through that step-by-step process of a reviewer coming back in and starting from the original process, how to assign themselves to a case and reviewing it, put a budget in, and then we'll approve it, disperse it. But that'll be what we'll worry about for the final hour and a half. So if we can take about, come back at, for you guys, what's that, 10:50? 10:50, we'll expect back and we'll start.
Thank you.
All right, and just once again, we'll go through the reporting features, and then we'll be going back through that step-by-step guide of how the admins will put in the budgets. But in the reports drop down, we will have a couple functions that you guys have. You guys are able to use and review. First things first, we'll start from the bottom to the top. Second. You guys will have the availability to review our duplicate Social Security function, and it looks like I need to turn that on. All right. So in this reporting tab, you guys will have the AFWA report. It's typically going to be available for supervisors. It shouldn't be used by everybody. But in this report, you'll be able to see the duplicate Social Security numbers. And also, I'll turn on that features for duplicate phone numbers. It'll be able to see the duplicate phone numbers that are used in the applications and give you guys just a reporting flag to let you know if there's multiple applications with the same phone number. So in this report, you guys can see that these applications are associated with other cases. So you guys can click on each case and investigate to be able to know and map out what type of research needs to be done to withdraw either one of the applications or withdraw both applications. That is our AFWA report. You'll be able to toggle between each report, just like so. And duplicate IP is a duplicate IP address. This may not, tenants may complete applications in libraries, so it may not be as useful, obviously, because the locations doesn't mean that there's any type of fraud issues. So that'll be useful for supervisors to use. Another main important thing is Report Builder. In Report Builder, that'll be the place where you guys are able to build any report that you guys think of. Any report where there's a question in the application, you guys can build a report on. So for example, you want to have an application that are all submitted applications, you guys want to be able to know somebody's AMI and what city they live in. So, those are the types of reporting and maybe who the reviewer is assigned to. Those are the type of reports and features that Report Builder will give you. When you come into Report Builder, you must select either the landlord or tenant application. So make sure you're always on the appropriate application. You don't want to be looking for tenant information and then you're accidentally on that landlord application. So both the landlord and the tenant application you can report on. But let's go into my tenant application. The program year should always be the current year. So 2022, obviously, once 2023 comes out, we'll have a new case year for you guys, but make sure it's always 2022. And your case status. So, and just remember, this left side is the where do you want to get your information from? You want to get your information from what case status. And that's why it's important for you guys to update your applications to the correct case statuses for reporting purposes. So in case statuses, you guys see the pen and the pad, and you'll be able to click on that to select where do you want your information from. Do you want it from application in progress, submitted, under agency? Let's click all those three and click apply. And the columns is going to be the what information do you want? It's grabbing the, the AMIs, the city, all the information of what you're looking for. And you'll be able to always add additional information in the click here to add remove columns or click here to add new search criteria. So under the columns for the what information I'm looking for, I'll click here to add remove columns. My selected section is what's always going to be pre-populated. The case ID, which is needed, the name, status, date created, accomplishment date, and funding amount. Typically, you probably won't need because you didn't pay any budgets out yet. You didn't have any accomplishments yet. So typically, this is the things that you'll always run on a report. Now, the available sections is giving you 733 fields of information. That'll be often too large of a population to find out the particular information you want. So you can always click on the filter available fields, click in that drop down, and find that application section for what you want. Maybe you want, like I said, just that city. So I clicked on step B, applicant information, and I want to search, okay, I want to add on the city. So now I selected that right here on the blue icon, and now it's on my selected section. Let's go back into our available criteria. And maybe now I want the AMI. So let's find that income step, which is my step E, income verification. I can have the AMI ratio, the rounded ratio, the household size. So I'm going to grab my AMI ratio and I'll apply that. So now I'm building a report for applications in progress, submitted, under review for all these categories. I'll retrieve that data. And now you can see all the applications that I can report on. So all the applications in progress and under review. I have my case year, date created, the cities, and the AMIs. So, obviously, as you guys get more familiar, you'll think of, reports that you guys need. A report builder isn't automatically, given to everybody. So, anybody, program managers will have it, but if anybody from your team needs it, just let us know and we'll add that. Also in Report Builder, you guys are able to see a map of the data plots of where, those locations are on the map. So eventually, like, let's say you could run a report and, take an image of where all your payments have gone out from, and you can kind of see where it's weighted at. You guys can export the information to Excel, to send off. Definitely, people can have access to Report Builder, and then we can remove access so that they can't export any data. Also, and once again, this lightning bolt is your bulk function criteria that allows you to assign things in bulk. So this is something for supervisors, program managers to have that bulk icon. In this bulk feature, you guys are able to in Report Builder update case statuses. So let's say you had applications in progress and maybe you guys ran out of money and you wanted to just remove everybody to deny because there's no more funding, or you have a reviewer application under review that's assigned to one caseworker and you guys wanted to bulk assign them to a new caseworker. So Report Builder will be the place where you can update statuses. Waitlist typically is just to assign cases, so you can see their criteria and assign cases. Report Builder will be how you can bulk assign and change statuses. Just in Report Builder, you can't select one by one. So whatever you run that report for is what you will have to update everything. So let's say I click my bulk icon and I want to bulk assign a status. So let's say all these applications I want to update to be, withdrawn, I can do that. Or paid, I can do that. Obviously, once I click proceed, all these applications would fall off the screen because they're no longer in that status. And the last function is the email capability. So you can run a report for all applications in a certain category, and then you could click the mail icon and be able to send out an email. It'll grab all the email addresses that's associated with that case. I just always like to remind our teams, make sure you click on the CC icon and update these people to BCC them. It simply puts them all on the same email, so you don't want to send out an email with everybody able to see, who you guys emailed information to. And then you guys can type your message and send out a particular message, that you guys are looking to do. But let me just go back. So with a report, this is the same report. I just went back. You guys can save a report. So instead of every time, every couple of days, you guys come in here and have to provide the filters in for that particular report, you guys can save a report that you like. You guys could literally call a report, your name and just say, this is my report. And you can make it private so only you can see it. Or you can make your report public. So, let's say one supervisor wants another supervisor to see it. They can just leave it on public, and then they'll just click Save Report. So for now on, anytime I come in here, I can run my report for my AMIs and city right here in the drop down. It'll be there. And I can delete it here. And I can update it to private I want. So that's Report Builder. Obviously, once you just got to use it and it'll get more user friendly, but Report Builder is how you guys can build your own reports. The waitlist I went through, I'll go over again when we assign a case. Task report is, this is where, once again, you can check on your task to see any task that you sent out. So in case you're not certain that all the tasks that you assigned, the user responded to you, maybe you forgot, you can come in task and literally just filter for your name, and you can see the available task that you have outstanding. You can also click on the drop-in for active or complete. So you can also click on complete and see completed tasks. Here's a completed task that I assigned to Kelly before. But and supervisors can click on somebody else's name to see tasks that they've done as well. So so you guys can spot check to see what tasks people are doing. Score summary is not applicable. Schedule reports will be for when we have those additional funding request reports, the recertification reports. You guys will be able to run reports to see that. At the end of the call, I'll go through how you guys can turn them on. But additional funding report, you'll simply be able to turn on the date range of when you guys turn a recertification available, and you guys can check retrieve and see all the available recertifications that are pending. Accomplishments is the last report. Not much to do here except click reports, click accomplishments, and click go. Accomplishment grabs the demographics information by each applicant. It's only available for that tenant application because this is the application that's the landlord's application is not captured in demographics. But this is used for, if you guys have county officials asking, reaching out saying, hey, who are you guys helping? Can we have a breakdown of AMIs and the demographics and who you guys are helping? So here you see all the cases and the AMI levels and their demographics. I muted everyone, so if you just need to talk, just unmute yourself. Okay, and also in the demographic, a nice thing is you can click on kind of the Google icon bar, and you'll be able to see a dashboard view of the AMI levels and all the categories of the demographics. So accomplishment is just a quick report. You come in, click go, and then you can export to Excel. All right, so those are the main reporting tabs, which you guys have access to help run reports and review things. I'll go through the ERAP report at the end, and then the funding tab. Kelly, I emailed you out the process flow. If you can send out to the team, I'll go over. I'll start walking through that in a moment.
Sure.
Great. So before we go back into a step-by-step kind of approval process, supervisors, pretty much everybody that's a supervisor would have gotten that access to approve this budget. And you can see right here, my pending draw approvals. So everybody, you guys will have your access to approve a budget. You guys can click on a budget like so and be able to go into that case and approve it. So obviously it's recommended that you guys will always have your sub-program listed so you guys know, so each supervisor knows who to approve. But you guys will be reviewing budgets and approving them. I recommend for supervisors, you don't want to, go through the whole application one by one like so. I recommend you clicking on the Documents tab and just opening up the document to review the documents and compare it to, that budget request, because you're going to see what that person's requesting. Oh, I had to approve a budget where they're requesting rent assistance, so let me review their income and rent amount. So it's definitely recommended to use that Documents tab to review the documents and double check your reviewer's work. Just going back to the dashboard. And also remember, budgets will be sent to you by the category. So you can have one case, as you see this case 3024, that breaks down, a rent budget of $1,200 and a water budget of $150. You can also have, another budget for gas at $100 and utility. So you can have 4 budget requests separately that you have to approve. So let's just approve one, and then I'll go through the ERAP treasury report. So for approvals, my pending draw approvals is linked to your funding tab. So just think of, anything that has to deal with taking funding from the funding source, it's linked to your funding tab. So you guys can click the individual category and it'll take you directly to that budget, or you can click on my pending draw approvals and it'll take you to the funding category reporting warehouse. You just click there and just click retrieve. It's going to show you the pending items that you have to approve. And right here, it's saying your approval is pending. So you guys can approve them in bulk, which for the first approval, it's not recommended, because if you approve it in bulk, that means you're most likely not reviewing the case. So you don't want to approve it in bulk, and you guys can with the bulk icon right here, but you don't typically want to. You can click on that individual case, and once again, it'll take you directly to that case, where you'll click on the request and you guys can approve. So after you open up the documents, you guys can say, okay, I reviewed the documents. I approved this amount for $1,200. I made sure I'm the correct approver for this program and this correct staff. I'm going to approve it. Once you click approve, it's going to have an approval notes comment where you can say approved, 114, and it's going to have the tenant's email and your reviewer's email. It only sends my email because I'm both the participant and the reviewer. So you guys have the option to let that tenant know if you want them to get an automatic neighborly email. If you check it, that tenant will receive an email saying this $1,200 budget was approved. Now, this first round of approval is just approving it so that it's giving your a notice. It's linking it to your payment report so your finance team can down pay it. So just because you approve it doesn't mean it's getting paid. So it may not be, you may not want to let the tenant know that you approved it, because that means they'll be calling asking where's their check. So you can click approve, and now this is available for to generate on the payment report, where then finance can pay it. You will have another step of mark as dispersed, but you won't mark it as dispersed until you can verify that finance has paid it. So let's go back to the dashboard. On your dashboard, you can see the difference. The activity has changed to disbursement, meaning you just have to mark it as paid. And the other one here is still approved. So let's click back in and just disperse it. So at this point, finance has confirmed to you that they have paid this application, and they paid it, you know, let's say they paid it, I'll just go and type in tomorrow's date, they paid it tomorrow. You guys paid it, and now you can let that tenant know that it's paid. Once you mark as dispersed, this application is now complete and is done. There's another one that you can approve, but I just kind of wanted to show you a sample. Now, any item that is approved and marked as dispersed will populate on your treasury report. Give me a second. Oh. There you go. When you come to your treasury report, you just have to click retrieve data. So this will be for whoever's reporting to treasury. Right now, I think Kelly and maybe one other person, the only person that have access to this treasury report. But treasury report is your report that you don't have to build anything and do any additional report building. It's going to show you who you paid, what category you paid, and all the necessary information that's needed to be reporting to treasury. The reason I'm showing this now to everybody is because when you're working on applications, you don't want to deny an item. You don't want to mark duplicate applications denied. Typically, denied should be used for people that are ineligible or similar as that category, because your acceptance ratio is based on the amount of people that you paid and the amount of people that you denied. So while you guys are reviewing applications, if you guys see duplicate applications or and you're updating, just update it to withdrawn. Don't update it to denied unless you truly reviewed it and denied them. In your treasury report, you guys will be able to filter by your funding sources to see, hey, how much money do we have left in the City of Gonzales budgets, or who used City of Gonzales funding source. Right now it's just on all. But main thing for treasury report is you'll click here to generate the treasury report. It'll download as a WinZip, and it will have all the breakdowns that's needed for treasury requirements. Click on that aggregate report. And here will be the treasury report, where it'll capture all your information that's dispersed. So in the future, items have to be dispersed to populate on the treasury report. Items have to be approved so they can generate on your payment report so finance can pay. So these are all of your categories for treasury reporting. All right, that's the ERAP module. Utilities are added here for the pool form. So let's now go back into, so for an example, I emailed out to Kelly this this step-by-step ERAP reviewer process flow. I'll go through this one by one in the system. And just to note, the ERAP approval process is going to discuss kind of simply how you guys will start reviewing the applications from waitlist or from assigning the cases to sending out your template emails to linking the landlords. Then there's the other document that is the EREP approval documentation, and that's just the EREP approval tab. And then the bottom from 18 all to the rest of the documentation is for supervisors to approve. From 18 to 31 is how supervisors will approve it. So you guys can keep that, keep that by your desk as you guys are approving and working on budget. You guys have obviously a handheld document, and then also my recording to refer from. But let's go back into my case. Let's go back into my case. So as you guys come in, so typically as a new application comes in, you guys see that you have an application in the submitted category. You guys all will have access to the wait list, which will be good so you guys can see the available categories. You guys a reviewer won't be assigned, but you guys will be able to see what their preference is. And you guys can rank the points if needed, like so by just clicking the filter right here, or clicking the icon. And also you guys can always export the waitlist to Excel too. But you guys will come in, you guys can assign multiple cases, or a supervisor can just simply click on the case and assign it to a person. Supervisors can click on the sub-programs to assign it to that program that should only be reviewing it. And then the most important thing is clicking on a user and assigning to somebody. You don't always have to add a reviewer, but definitely recommended to add a program. Once you click that user, you will assign it to that particular person. A reviewer will get an email that you've assigned the case when you assign it to them individually, like so. But if you assign a reviewer through the waitlist bulk cases, like if you assign them 2 cases, they won't get an email because it's multiple cases that they're assigned. So it's just something to note about. Reviewers can also, under the review section, they'll be able to see all the cases that they have under their name by just simply clicking on application under review, and they can just filter for their name to see their available cases. We do have another dashboard view, Kelly, that we can that's available, where reviewers can filter for all their cases that's under their name. This is just a standard view, which most neighbors use, but at the end of the call, I can toggle between and show you that view. So just remember that. But back to the reviewer process flow, our step beginning step is, after step 1, 2, once a reviewer is ready to process an application, they will navigate to the report link in the navigation bar and select their waitlist report. So you go through the waitlist, assign their case, I'm gonna remove Aaron and assign it to myself. No, I'm gonna assign it to somebody else so somebody else can have an email. So Jaylene is assigned. Jaylene will get an email. The reviewer can select the next available case, and this case is assigned to them. Once in the case, the reviewer can add themselves. So step 4 is just adding themselves to the case. As you see in step 5, once that reviewer is added, the system will say their name and it's automatically going to update to that case status. Now it's the reviewer's responsibility to review the application. Once, like I said before, you always want to open up step A, review it, make sure it checks out that the person is under the 80% AMI. Double check step E. Remember, an applicant can type in what their income is. They have to type in what their income is, but it's your responsibility to collect that documentation and make sure, obviously, whatever they type in is accurate to what their documentation annualizes. Because applicants will say, hey, annualized $24,000 of unemployment, but their documentation is really 30 or their documentation is really 40. So always make sure that what they type in is accurate to the document. In your reviewer checklist, you'll want to compare your application for the qualification, the eligibility criteria to make sure they live in the county, the correct document is uploaded. So that's step 6. At the end of step 6, if the tenant application is denied, you should use your reviewer checklist to update the reason why that application is denied. So in that reviewer checklist, you can say they don't live in Monterey County. Here's your available options that an applicant could be denied for, but maybe yours is a very specific item. So definitely type it in. You can type it in, that'll populate to the application. You guys can sign your reviewer checklist. Just means that you guys reviewed it, and then you should save it. Saving it just updates it to the audit log. And then you'll be able to click on your denied email and see the items that you are saying that this person is missing. Definitely always save your denial email and generate that to Excel, and you can send that out to a client. Important item is part D, update that status. Once you deny somebody, make sure you update that status because statuses are used for reporting. So right now, this case is updated to denied. Step 7, if the tenant is missing information, let's say you're reviewing another application, or let's say you're reviewing this application, and the application now, the tenant was able to provide, documents that they really do live in Monterey County. So you'll come back to the reviewer checklist and update that, and maybe you're reviewing it and they don't have, their lease. So you can save it, sign it if needed. Every time you save it, it just updates it, to the audit log for a new activity. And then you can generate your incomplete email. I'll update this to remove this icon, generate that, and you can save your incomplete email and generate that and send out that email. Make sure you generate the email and send it out. The system does not just, when you save it, send it out for you. You have to generate the email and send it out. But once again, update your status to pending application information. Important thing, when you have a missing document, if you're sending out a missing document email from a tenant, it's always important to remember that if you say, hey, they updated the wrong income or their answer is incorrect, you guys have the availability, you guys are able to reopen that step. You need to reopen that step, and you guys, depending on your process, you guys can edit, the income if somebody said the wrong income. But make sure you reopen the step if you're telling the tenant that they have to go back in the application to complete something. You can't just tell a tenant to complete, an error if you don't give them access to the application. The application is open for that step because it has a white circle, whereas all the completed for you guys have blue. And then also at the end, it says save and complete. Also, if you update this status back to pending application information and you reopen, step E, also reopen the submit step. When you reopen the submit step, it helps you because when that tenant completes the step E, the system will make them resubmit it. And when they resubmit it, the application will land back in the submitted category. So it'll come back for you guys to review. So it'll have a new application back in the submitted category that you got to review again. So it's an important thing for any pending application information missing docs. Reopen the step and always reopen the submit step. It just allows you guys to go back to the application submitted, so any application does not get kind of lost in the process flow. If an application is approved, obviously you'll work on that. Let me find my application. If an application is approved, you guys would obviously be working on the ERAP approval, but you do not want to send out your approval email once again, until your supervisor approves it, because they can find an error and then you don't want to have sent the email out and have to resend another email for a less amount. So the steps 11 through 15 is here, but definitely send that out based on if it's approved. Linking that landlord and tenant to the case. So before you jump down to your ERAP approval, once again, remember that you cannot pay a landlord if you don't link a landlord. So right here is the landlord tab. It's already associated, but remember, you have to link a landlord to pay a landlord. When you go do your ERAP approval, it's good, the system will default and won't let you do the landlord budget. But if you want to pay a landlord, you have to link it. So when you want to link that landlord, you'll just click on associate a case. And then you can search for your landlord. In that associate a case button, that associated case button will allow you to search here just as you are able to search there. So you don't have to search here. You can just literally search in that landlord option. And obviously before you know, if the landlord is not in the system that you're trying to search and link, make sure you send out that landlord invitation, which is in your admin tab here. You can save it as well, but make sure you always send out that landlord invitation if you cannot find that landlord in the system. I've added a note here, for follow the ERAP approval module. So that is our second documentation of the ERAP approval tab. The reason the documentations are separate is because we recently updated our ERAP approval process from an old process to a new one. So that is a separate document, but I'll go through this ERAP approval and put another budget in for you guys. So after you link your landlord, you're able to obviously pay landlords. I'll open up another case and do it for us. Let's say I have some rent amount. I'm going to say we're going to pay this person $1,200. I'll save that. And for you guys to have access to your ERAP approval module, a case has to have been submitted. You don't have access to do an ERAP approval without a submitted case. It's default, so you're not paying tenants prematurely. So for an example, here, I don't have a landlord associated, so I could not even pay a landlord. So let's click on a landlord and associated case. I've already sent out my landlord invitation. Let's associate a case. I'm linking this landlord to this cherry test case. So here we go. Here we are showing that the landlord is linked. You guys know that that landlord is linked. Now I'll click on my ERAP approval. And I'm going to say this tenant wants $1,200 for November. I'll approve it like so. We're giving them 1 month of rental assistance. And you have to click Save Approval Value. Now that it's saved, it populates here that it's saved. But now your responsibility is to make sure you generate the draw. Because at this point, your supervisor doesn't, if you don't submit it, your supervisor doesn't know that they have to approve it. Let's pull money from the Salvation Army. And we want to pay a landlord. So once before I mentioned that obviously you have to link a landlord to pay a landlord. Oops, let me just refresh it. Sometimes if you just add a case, You just have to refresh the screen for that landlord to populate. Now that landlord is linked. So here you see that my landlord is linked. But in the future, if you guys are reaching out to landlords and they're not responding, we can add a payee type as a tenant. And what will happen is on your payment report, it'll just link the tenant's payment report. So your finance team will be able to pay the tenant. But as you guys work through, definitely if you guys are seeing that you guys need that tenant option, we'll just add that option. But right now, the goal would be to pay the landlords. So you guys have the landlord's information. You guys can always leave it on the next month, January, so February. So always leave this option on the next month. Make sure it always is on the appropriate year. Click create. And now your supervisor has gotten that budget request. Now, that is how you put a budget request in. So that is the job of the reviewers. So the reviewer's job is obviously up to 17 and then follow that ERAP approval document, and your reviewers will be putting the budget request in. At this point, your reviewer's job is done. Now, refer back to the original document. Your supervisors will be following along from draw approvers from 18 on to 31. So draw approvers will come in and they'll all, the draw approvers will get their emails letting know there's a budget that needs to be approved. They can see the approvals once again on the screen and select the appropriate one that they need to approve. They can go into a case directly and approve it, like so, or they can click on the My Pending Draw Approvals and they can click Retrieve, and then they'll come up like so. And also in My Pending, in the funding category, you guys can filter for your available funding sources. So if you only want to see the ones that are for you, you can come in and say, okay, I want to only approve Salvation Army. Hold on. Ellie, you have a question?
Yeah, so right now, I think each agency is listed for their full allocation as available for funds. I'm wondering if the program manager is able to change that, what's remaining, or if that's something we have to do on our end.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow.
So for like the funding available for each agency,
Okay.
for each funding source, right now what's listed is their full allocation. Is that something that the program manager can change? Because I know that some of them have spent some of that already, or is that something we have to do on our end?
So yeah, unfortunately, for ERAP, for our other clients, not ERAP, we allow them access to change it. But for ERAP, because it's so many funding sources, it's typically I'll have to change it. I may be able to let you change it, but we wouldn't give that access for multiple people.
That's fine. I can just get.
You can coordinate.
Yeah, I can just get the amount available as of launch date and
you want the most accurate date.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I see that I was filtering for the wrong option. But back in the funding category, let me go back to the dashboard. So supervisors and approvers, you guys can literally click on the individual category like so, or in My Pending Draw Approvals, you will be able to filter for your category of what you're looking for. and see like so. So this is how you guys can separate and pull the ones that you guys only need to approve. So the program manager for North County can filter like so. Say, okay, I want to approve, and it shows you the status of what you need to do. It's pending my approval. So you can just click that individual category and go right into it. Make sure you just click on the request, and then you guys can see what you need to approve. $1,200, and you guys can approve it. A couple things to note is there's 2 ways to approve it. Once you click on the budget, it's going to take you to the budget category. And then also you guys can approve it from the ERAP approval section as well. I personally think supervisors should just do it for the budget tab, but the ERAP approval is simply you're just clicking on it. And in case there's any error, any typo, you don't really correct it the same here. So I recommend supervisors in the budget tab, you'll be able to see it and approve it for the correct amount here. And you can also, if you see an error, you can return to requester saying, hey, maybe they should only be approved for, you can approve it for $1,100, or you can just click return to requester and send them a note saying, hey, this is incorrect. We already paid them, 1 month of rent and they're over 18 months, but you guys can reject it, or you can simply approve it for the correct amount and click approve. Remember, on the approval, you typically don't want to allow the tenants a note. Now, once an approver approves the item, you guys should update the status . Just bear with my computer. You guys will want to update the status to approve pending payment. Because at this point, you guys can, just always remember, anything you do, you want to update the report so your teams can always filter and run reports on the correct things. Your payment teams may making payments, weekly, bi-weekly. So you always want to be able to have that status in the correct application so you can find it. Now, at this point, this application is approved. Now, this is the time when you guys will be, somebody from your team will be able to download our custom payment report. Our custom payment report, I don't display until you guys go live, just in case, because we're going to have some small changes and tweaks that we'll have, and we map them out to all the fields. So any item that is that first round of approval will now be able to be generated on that payment report. So supervisors and Kelly, you guys will all have access to go to reports and click on custom payment report. And I'll show you a sample report and just talk through that. Just give me a second. So for example, you guys would have one approval that's showing on this report. Because as you approve an item, you'll be able to download that app. You'll be able to come in, download that application. And within your custom payment report, I'll allow you guys a tab so you guys can click landlord payments by funding sources. So agencies can click their available funding sources, their available programs to have the funding source. But you'll be able to see your vendor number that's associated with that landlord, the amount that you're paying, the funding source, whether it's a utility payment or a landlord payment, rent arrears or rent assistance going forward. This was just an example that an agency wanted, but then you'll see the name of the tenant, address, the owner's social, and the owner's address so you guys know who to mail the check to. If you guys are making a utility payment, it'll say the utility company and the utility's address so that the finance team knows where to send that utility check to. So always remember, when you guys approve that first line of approval, it allows it to be generated on that custom payment report. Now, once finance lets you know that, hey, we paid, that training, we paid that cherry test case, $1,200, you then will say, okay, it's paid. You'll come back in here and you'll mark it as dispersed. Then I'll let that tenant know the automated message. And now that item is paid. You can go into that case and update it to paid. You may want to make sure all the budgets are paid before you update the status. But you can update that application to paid. And remember, the custom payment report will only display the first round of approved applications. So once you mark them as dispersed, they'll fall off the report. So it's not the custom payment report doesn't show dispersed. It's just, that's the report for finance. You'll mark it as approved. It'll come to the report. And then once it's paid, you guys will disperse it. Dispersed items will all show on your ERAP approval report. Let me refresh that. I'll just click retrieve and it should say 2. There we go. And this is that last step. So that is the bulk of our training. The last option I just wanted to cover, I know it's a lot, and obviously, once you guys go live, I'll go into additional funding requests. But the additional, oops, let me go to my completed application. Hold on 1 second. For the additional funding request, that'll be used when you guys have paid a client and now you want to give them the access to be able to recertify. Are you guys allowing tenants additional funding requests, or once you guys pay it, that's kind of it?
No, yeah, we allow additional funding requests currently.
Okay. Yep, I'll give you a brief tutorial and then we can always have another, just meeting to go over this. Let me just. We now have time. I'm gonna just put the submission step on the additional funding request, but definitely have time for some questions and answers. I know Kelly was keeping up with the chat, but this is a time that you guys can definitely, unmute yourself and, we can take some questions.
Does anyone have questions? I have maybe some announcements, but if you want to keep going, we can do that after.
I just had to add this submission step and I can show you this additional funding request. So remember, as you guys have paid out an assistance, once you guys are done and you've dispersed it, it has to be dispersed. You guys can now give access to a tenant to be able to come back and recertify or request additional funding, because you guys can pay up to 18 months. So let's say you guys only paid 10 months in the beginning. You guys can come back in, but you have to give them access to the case, because remember, once an application is submitted, the tenant doesn't have access, and you don't want tenants to just come in and complete a brand new application. You want everything to be within the case so you can kind of see what you've paid. So you guys will be able to, as somebody requests it, you guys will be able to come in here and turn on their additional funding request. Based on your program rules or requirement, typically we can automatically set it up if necessary, if requested, that everybody that was that you guys paid, that you guys marked as dispersed, can have a recertification that's available, that gives them access to, up to 3 months after, to come in and do a recertification. Or you guys can just manually do it yourself, where manually, as somebody calls in, you guys can come into that case, click on additional funding requests, click manual only, and create a report. Creating the report just sends that person an automatic email saying, hey, you are now able to complete an additional funding request recertification. Once you click manual only and click create report, you just have to create new additional funding requests. And note, this will be the current sentence due date. So you guys are giving them the available date. So you can say they're available for, to be able to do this tomorrow. When do you want them access to this? Oops. Hold on 1 second. I just have to update the lead time. You guys have to just turn this on for when they want to give them access. And once you turn that on, that applicant will get a message. Hold on 1 second. So the tenant will get the message. I'm just trying to show you guys. Hold on, what's going to start. So typically, I just had to familiarize myself with it. You want to always give an applicant 15 days lead time so that you provide them a notification of when they can provide access to get into the system. So once you turn this on for a tenant, they'll be able to get an automatic email which will give them access back into their account to complete a simplified recertification. And it'll look just like this. And it just mimics their your step B, your income step, so the applicant can update their income in case they had any changes, whether it's a month or 3 months from now. The same steps, their step H, so they can come in and request utility assistance, rent assistance, internet assistance, and then they'll submit the application. Once the applicant submits the application, this additional funding request will land on your dashboard underneath AFR submitted. You guys will be able to review it, and then it'll be linked right back into your ERAP approvals to be able to pay out budgets. So as an additional funding request gets submitted, you guys will have an AFR submitted category where you can do an approval for the AFR, and it'll encompass all of your total right here, so not to pay more than 18 months. Obviously, I just wanted to get familiarized with it. We will definitely have a training to go over AFRs, but the focus is to get the application launched, and then we can, back end show you guys how to navigate AFRs. But that is the bulk of our training. Definitely, feel free to ask questions. We have a couple minutes.
Just so everybody knows, we're going to be migrating data over the next few business days. Once the data is migrated, we're probably going to have to do some troubleshooting and cleanup. But if we have any questions for you, we will let you know. Any new applications that are coming in, going forward will be on the wait list, but until we have all the data migrated, we can't really pull from the wait list because we have to make sure that we have all of the prior clients in the system first to make sure we don't have any duplicates. So please, until I notify everyone that the migration process is complete, please don't start pulling new applications yet, but just continue to work with your existing clients. And if you have an existing client that you see in Neighborly has been migrated, please feel free to update that client's information in Neighborly. So starting on Tuesday. So yeah, that's really it. I think I will be sending along more information, including a policy for preventing duplicate applications. We're going to have a policy for prioritization of clients moving forward since we're running low on funds in this program, or we will be running low very soon. And any other information that you need, Crystal's going to be kind of breaking up this training today into smaller pieces, and we'll share that with you once that's done so that you'll have that as a resource. And if you would like to set up a training to just go over anything that we've covered in this training with me and Crystal, please let me know. If you have staff that wasn't able to make it today who would like a training, just let me know. We can set something up. I'd be happy to do that. So just shoot me an email and we can set that up. But thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, we're looking forward to getting started with Neighborly. And thank you, David, so much for this training.
Yep.
Really appreciate it.
No problem. And Kelly, for within the next, so for us, are you guys looking to go live soon, or are you going to wait till the data?
Yeah, I think we want to go live just so people can start applying, even if they're going to be on the wait list and not get addressed right away. So I think we want to be live for next week. So I mean, we can definitely go live today if that's something that we can do. That would be great.
I would say let's turn it on Tuesday.
Okay.
Just so because what I do is I do we have our another staff member come behind me and do an audit to make sure everything there's no glitches or anything. I'll double check, make sure some of the numbering is off. I'll make sure that some of the numbering is ordered because I'm a couple steps went from A to like it skipped. We just do a QC. And then just for you and Crystal, if you guys reach out to me for like the next 2 weeks and want to just have some time just for maybe process flow of things that you want to run past me, coordinate, we can set up a time. And then also I'll be handing you off to eventually our our client success manager, who will guide you guys through, who'll be your point person going through. Okay. So you'll always have your point of contact who you can call, Kelly, to hey, I need a half an hour, I need a meeting to make sure you guys are using the system appropriately. And
I just have a few small edits. Yeah. Excuse me, that I can send you right after this meeting. I just wrote them down. Perfect. Just how things are worded.
Yeah.
I think it had my phone number and it should be 211 in a few spots. So it's really just that, and the rest of it I will share with you as well.
Perfect. All right, I will let you guys go. The call will be downloaded and I'll send it over once it downloads. Reach out to me, any questions, and I'll work on your call. I'll work on those edits. I have another call, so I'll work on your edits Tuesday morning and get those included. All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.